I was able to speak with Anthony Taylor from Happy with Par, who is definitely one of the most altruistic people I think I've ever met in the sport, and ultimately has a very interesting and new take on disc golf that I think so rarely is seen, even though it is desperately needed, especially in the case of people battling with anxiety and depression, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So if you want to check out more about him, check out happywithpar.com. Using code WILD10, you'll get 10% off your order. There's some great stuff on there, and if you want to get a Clash disc, he has a signature line of Clash disc that I actually have been loving recently. I have his Ginger. I am just really digging it, and it really does feel very premium, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Let's get into the interview. What's up? Wild Runs here. Today I have a very, very special guest that I got to meet at Worlds. Definitely one of the nicest people I've ever met at any tournament. Anthony Taylor from Happy with Par. What's up, man?
Just hanging out, dude. That was quite the intro. I appreciate it. Just excited to chit chat with you about my little my journey here and yeah, hanging out.
Yeah. So you have the name Happy with Par. How did that come about? Is that like a mantra you've had for a while, or is it recently that you got into that kind of mindset?
Uh, Happy with Par started for me probably about 2 years ago. I started playing disc golf in like 2019, kind of beginning of 2019 after helping out a buddy of mine install a course in our local community. And then, yeah, it was kind of shortly after I got the hang of golf, I kind of felt like I should be beating my friends all the time. Just kind of that competitive edge snuck in after I kind of, figured out a little bit of the fundamental of the sport. Yeah, so Happy with Par was kind of a thing that I was sarcastically saying to myself at first. But eventually I realized it was kind of, a good little saying for me because ultimately I did go out there to have fun and yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Yeah, I just watched your most recent Instagram thing where you had like a three disc challenge and you were crushing. So like whatever you're doing is definitely working too.
yeah,
Yeah.
some days it feels like it's really easy. I think a lot of people kind of have that same experience with disc golf and
Oh yeah.
maybe other sports too, but for me with disc golf, it really resonates because it's just you out there, right? And
Yeah.
some days, it's really easy, and then other days you go out there and for some reason a little piece of your form is off, or you're just feeling like you're magnetic to the trees.
Hmm.
So that was a really really fun round for me. You're talking about the one where I had Chandler Fry's discs out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really fun one. That was actually my personal best at that course. Um, and I missed two birdie putts. Like my first
Yeah.
putt of the day was just a little short, and yeah, it was wild. That was a sick round.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same. My last round was tournament round, last of the season, and like I haven't been playing much, but I got totally wrecked. I got like probably averaged a bogey every hole. So
Mm,
like I'm not saying
yeah,
I would do too much better in my peak, but it was just a terrible way to end the season. That's how it
yeah.
goes.
The tournament rounds are especially different. I don't know why, right? It's just sort of that tournament mindset. If you put the pressure on yourself, I'm definitely one to put it on myself. So I
Mm,
feel for you.
yeah,
It's rough taking those lumps during a tournament round.
yeah, and it's so frustrating because I actually played Brewster just like for fun one night, and I wasn't like great or anything, but I was hitting my lines pretty good. I was like, why can I not do this at a freaking tournament? If I can do it
Yeah,
on like this pro level course.
yeah. I feel you, dude. I've definitely been there.
Oh, it's so dumb. All right. So what made you decide, all right, this is like a hobby I'm loving. Let me transition to the business side.
So before I was really playing disc golf super heavily, probably around like 2014 to the 2016-ish era, I was in a band. I had a little musical endeavor, and it wasn't the first time that I was kind of making music or sort of had, some sort of project that I was involved in creatively. After my band broke up and kind of we went through COVID, I'm playing disc golf pretty heavily now. And I just kind of recognized that that creative sort of outlet wasn't there for me much anymore. I was making some t-shirts for my local community, just was mostly organizing colorways and kind of being the middleman to get the shirts made, right? But that was kind of fun for me just because I saw how much people were kind of digging, able being able to get some merch for our local club. And the Happy with Par thing was something I was sort of saying. I started an Instagram just for like disc golf stuff because it was taking over my personal Instagram, right? And had that called Happy with Par. So the name and the mantra and sort of I think the message and purpose behind it was kind of always there. Um, and then once I actually started spending more time investing a little bit of my money into it, and I was getting taxed because it was running through my personal Venmo, I realized like maybe I should just take a shot at this.
Yeah.
I had never done anything like this in my life. I'm far more creative and ambitious than I am business savvy. Uh, so I don't know that that part's been a learning process for me, kind of stressful, but it's good to feel passionate about something and now have this motivation to learn something new. So the business, part of it, I never was really like made that decision. It just kind of, I mean, I guess I did when I got an LLC, but
Yeah,
it
so
just felt like the smarter thing to do than, um, you know, just keep running it out of my own personal pocket.
yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. And it definitely shows that you're creative because uh my disc I have right here, like you can't really see it on Zoom, but on the camera, like it's just a sweet design and it just shows like this isn't just like some like 5 minutes of effort. Like it just looks sweet.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That artwork is the cool brain, I call it, and it kind of was my second wave of, I guess, artwork. The message behind that one is cooler heads prevail. And if you haven't already picked up on it, like there's kind of this theme of contentedness or mindfulness here, and it's definitely, um, for me, I've been on a bit of a mental health journey for quite a while.
Yeah.
Um, kind of some depression, anxiety, type of deal. A lot of people I think can relate with that as well. And then talking about letting the competitive kind of side take away some of the joy of the game. Um, disc golf is a thing where if you go out there and you're not having such a great time, you can get to talking to yourself a lot, right? And the things
Oh
that you
yeah.
say to yourself can really, have a pretty big impact. So, yeah, man, it's kind of, a mental health journey with this personal need to create mixed with this love for disc golf and the community of people that I've met kind of all balled up into one. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. If it really feels kind of natural so far.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. Because yeah, I can definitely speak for like most people that I talk to, like on the course during tournaments, like they're very open with everything and they'll tell you like the same kind of story. Like, yeah, I've like used disc golf as like kind of a coping mechanism or like dealing with anxiety and depression. And it's just a really positive outlet for so many people.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and you say so many people, but yeah, like so many people of so many different walks of life. I played in a tournament on a card with a 14-year-old and, a guy that was like 50.
Oh
Probably
yeah.
could have, he would have, totally taken MP 50 or whatever. So he's like gonna play with the young bucks, but
Yeah.
and I think I got beat by both of them.
Oh yeah.
It's
I've
just cool,
I've had
man.
that.
Yeah, and it's one of those games too where you don't really talk about what you do in your daily life necessarily. You're just happy to be throwing discs and you're talking about the game, a lot. And then you
Mhm.
walk off and you realize that you're playing with, I don't know, a dentist and a
Yeah.
construction worker or I don't know.
Yeah. And it's like there's no circumstance where we ever overlap. This is like the only time this would ever happen. It's just
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we covered a lot about like the brand. So right now, would you say you have any aspirations for like where you're looking to go with Happy with Par?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a that feels like such a open-ended question because I hate to come off too ambitious, but there are a lot of things, that I'd like to touch. I mean, I definitely want to keep growing the brand as far as merchandise and apparel and, you know, supporting bigger events as far as, disc golf pro tour type of stuff, but also, I want to see if I can get into supporting junior events and more, female events, because I think that, maybe there's a good connection there with the Happy with Par thing.
Oh yeah.
Hate to take away from any junior players or FPO players, but you find with a lot of the guys out there playing at the certain level, it's kind of birdie or die thing, and Happy with Par maybe resonates a little bit more with you know just the younger players to the sport. Some of the FPO players that are on, pretty long, pretty wild layouts.
Yeah.
Where shooting par or shooting around, par is, pretty common or admirable.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just like to get involved in supporting any sort of any sort of like communities that are helping to grow the sport. I really like the You Play disc golf stuff that Zoe and Dyke and them do. I'm trying to get into maybe some of that.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I just want to, continue to kind of represent that reminder for fun, and maybe get into some uh, I don't know, some mental health slash sports psychology, disc golf type of interviewing podcast myself. And,
Yeah.
even if I could find some way to support that kind of stuff, run some tournaments for charitable causes. Um, but yeah, just kind of right now, I'm just growing the brand, I guess, and continuing to keep it fun. I'm taking fun
Yeah.
seriously with this thing. I don't want it to stress me out too much right away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into it. What kind of products are you selling right now? Yeah. What do you hope to sell in the future?
Yeah, so right now I've got t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, some Velcro bag patches and pins. I like to keep a lot of that stuff in stock. Minis, I like to call that stuff like tiny reminders, because it's just a little something that you might be able to put on your bag or have in your putting routine, right? That you can drop down on the ground and look at that
Hmm.
happy with par message and kind of hopefully rope you back in. So mostly just kind of like fun little designs and fun colorways and stuff right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely am probably gonna do some custom stamp runs on some discs again. I
Yeah.
play disc golf pretty actively myself and have a sponsorship with Clash Disc. I'm on the U.S. ambassador team right now, so probably get some more Clash plastic with some Happy with Par stamps, kind of help
Yeah.
promote their plastic around here, because they really do have some pretty awesome molds and really, really premium plastic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and then
I've been
I
loving
don't
my
know what
ginger.
it could become. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I've been practicing with this ginger for a bit now, and yeah, I'm really liking it. This is my first like true Clash disc. Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's good.
ginger sweet, that one flies really great forehand and backhand. I use it for some kind of low ground play shots if I need to. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. At first it was coming out wobbly, and I think it was just because I was like so noodly after Worlds because I was just like dead tired. But now I got the hang of
Yeah,
it. It flies just like you said, kind of like a section firebird. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great. Yeah, I think with the like Happy with Par, it kind of like feels to me like a like kind of a pro mentality. Like every pro in every interview, they're like, yeah, I have this kind of like continuing mantra in my head that like this is like whatever I want for this type of putt, I want it to look like this. And it's less so for like amateurs like us, but it's kind of a continuation of that where it's happy with par. That's all right. That's okay. No matter what's
yeah,
going on in my round, like we're cool. It's fine. This is like this for fun. And
yeah. I mean, there's there's definitely, like I said, a level of metaphor to it. On certain courses or certain holes, you are just happy with par, and then other times, you really want to get that birdie. It's not necessarily about lowering your standards, but maybe just reevaluating your expectations sometimes, because
yeah,
once again, anything could hit you any
yeah,
certain day. Yeah, and it's just about kind of taking what comes at you in the moment and kind of embracing that and moving on.
Yeah.
A lot of times I also say, it should have been a birdie, but it could have been a bogey because a lot of times you can work yourself into losing that par just by getting too ambitious or,
Yeah.
trying to bite too much off. So, yeah, par is fine, man. Par is,
Yeah.
kind of baseline, but another thing I like to say is if it's not a bad day, then it's not a bad day. It doesn't have
Yeah.
nothing spectacular has to happen for things to be fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
My best finish so far has been third place, which isn't a win, but it was like I was doing nothing crazy. It was just a super windy day. I was throwing like overstable, and every hole I was getting like easy looks for par. And did that for 2 rounds, and I didn't feel confident about my rounds at all. But everyone else was just destroying themselves because they don't know how to throw like in the wind. And so
yeah.
I just like scooped up like a third place and won a decent amount of like discredit. So it was awesome.
Yeah, nice, man. That's podium, baby.
Yeah. I saw you had 2 wins. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I got two sanctioned wins under my belt, and I took one of my local tournaments it's an unsanctioned one. It's a fun tournament annually. But it's, a kind of a notoriety one. I was really, really proud to get that one too. So
Nice.
my second win, cool story, talking about, just kind of embracing the moment. I went on a little like 2 hour drive with some buddies. We played a tournament down towards the beach where I'm at. I'm in Maryland, by the way, kind of
Oh,
on the East Coast, about 2 hours from the coastline, and there's a couple of disc golf courses down there. So anyway, we take a ride to play this tournament one weekend, and as we're getting out of the car, I realized I left my shoes at home. All I had
oh
was the
no.
Crocs that I left the house in. Yeah. So I actually took a tournament win in Crocs.
That's
And I
great.
think, yeah, that was a pretty good example of, as soon as I realized I didn't have my shoes, I was like, man, started going down this mental,
Mm,
rabbit hole. But I was just like, let me slow down the X step a little bit, just kind of,
yeah.
take it easy, and turned out the Crocs and sport mode worked to my benefit. So that was a cool tournament win story.
That's sick. I saw so many people at Worlds wearing Crocs, and I'm just like, what's going on here? Like,
Comfort, dude.
but it's a swamp on these courses. Oh, but
True, true.
um, yeah. So, how would you say your game's looking right now so far?
Well, shoot, after that round at Millbrook I just played, I was feeling really good, but um yeah, I don't know. I've kind of just been slowing down my form a little bit, trying to, feel it out. I think I go through these waves where I'll get to playing real well, and then that gets me kind of all excited, and then I'll
Hmm.
just start, moving a little bit too quick, and something will pop off here or there, whether I start throwing early releases or just, a little bit nose down. But for the most part, my putting game is feeling really, really solid. I think I can putt with the best of them around, kind of my local community, and I don't know, even, I think my putting is solid. And then off the tee and sort of scramble game has been all right lately. So ready for this ratings update. I think I might get a teeny, teeny bump. I think I'm only
Nice.
at 910 right now. So I mean, I'm definitely nothing special, but
Yeah, that's much better than me.
it's fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll like go into tournaments thinking like, yeah, I might have like a chance getting like top five. But I swear, recent tournaments, people have just been like so much better than years past. Like if you get par, you're like maybe top of the field, but maybe
Yeah,
not. Whereas it
yeah,
used to be like plus 10 is like, yeah, you're probably like middle of the range. And I
yeah.
don't know what changed.
Well, sort of a hot take. I don't know, maybe not that hot of a take, but something I see out there is a lot of cats are, playing tournaments just to get tournament wins. And
Mhm.
and I think that the PDGA sort of like rating bracket for divisions might even be a little bit skewed. Give myself a little bit of credit, I guess, maybe. I said I'm only about like 910 rated, but I feel like I'm much better. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like when I play casual rounds or league rounds and stuff with people who are rated higher than me, I can hang with them. And I think the ratings thing is, I don't understand it totally, but I think that, people should consider signing up for tournaments about how much they play. I think there's a lot of people that can kind of move up. So maybe that's one thing that
Yeah.
makes it kind of wild. I know I play MPO a lot, MA1 every once in a while, depending on the course. But for me, that's because of my personal goals. My new goal right now is I want to see that line that says career earnings, and I want there to
Yeah.
be like $8. I don't care.
Yeah.
But but you know what I mean? Like I've won my fair share of plastic. I think that I could win a little bit of cash. So that's what I'm trying to do these days. And I
Yeah.
think that there's other people that could definitely step up too. And a lot of MA2 players that should be playing MA1, maybe some MA3 players that should be playing MA2. So
Oh yeah.
don't get discouraged about that in tournaments. I think, you know, if you can kind of remind yourself that you're just going out there and playing and that you are capable of, throwing a solid round at whatever course you're at, just try and go out there and do that.
Yeah.
Think about, throwing your solid round more than beating the competition, because ultimately you could throw your best that day and, you know, still not get first.
No, yeah. Yeah, I
So
swear the last tournament, first place beat most of MPO. And I
yeah,
was at MA2. It's like what's going on
yep.
here?
That's some kid that, God bless them, they just were not in the right division.
Yeah. Yeah.
And watch,
Uh,
they'll play more tournaments and they'll shoot well, but every once in a while, people go out there and they shoot a bad tournament or one bad round and they use that as an excuse to, play,
yeah.
I think, below their abilities. Like, well, I didn't do it this time, so, but you're not going to win them all. You look at the players on tour and, uh, I don't follow rankings and stuff well enough, but there are awesome players out there who, are just in 40, 50th place all the time. And
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't stop them from going out there because any weekend could be the weekend that they pop off and get their second, their top 10 finish.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what we play it for,
Yeah. Yeah. The first name that jumps in my head is Matt Bell. He's like one of the best putters in the entire game, and he still
right?
finishes about 30, 40. And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
has some finishes that's like top 10, but for the most part, he's just sitting around like 30, 40th. And
yeah.
he's one of the best putters in the world.
Matty Bell actually won the 2019 Delaware Disc Golf Challenge. I'm pretty positive it was
Oh yeah.
2019, and that was the first year that I had ever watched disc golf live. I saw Matt Bell
Oh,
win. So yeah, that
nice.
was pretty rad.
That's
Yeah,
so
he's
cool.
cool, dude.
Yeah, at Jonesboro, I was playing the amateur side, and I don't know how this was happening, but as Matt Bell was putting for like a little warm up, that's where our warm up was too. So I was putting with Matt Bell, and I was like, "This is sick."
Yeah, yeah, it's cool.
And he
Yeah,
like,
that was one thing about Worlds that had me, kind of with a little imposter syndrome early on. Was like, I'm a fan. So as I'm seeing some of these pros kind of walk by, like I just am like nerding out a little bit. And one of my boys was like, "Yo, you need to act like you belong here."
yeah,
I was like, "I
yeah,
can, except for when Nate Sexton walks by."
yeah, yeah. At Jonesboro, like, I don't remember what the context was, but I was talking to Simon, and I was like, "All right, just be chill, act like nothing
Yeah,
happened. He's just some dude. It's all good."
yeah, yeah. They are just some dude, but when you start playing disc golf and you're watching forum videos and this guy's teaching you how to play, and then you watch him, slaying it on Jomez coverage or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. It hits
yeah,
different.
yeah. It's so funny to like spectate worlds, and I followed Yuli for a little bit, and he was on like fifth card. Nobody was watching him, but it was still just like so sick to see this guy that's like one of the biggest names in the sport, and you can be like 5 feet away from him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
you
just
you can't do that to LeBron.
you cannot. Even like the lowest NFL player, you can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
one of those things that I think makes disc golf kind of, really special. And it's why people get hooked so quick because it's still a pretty intimate sport. I mean, even though, you know, the OGs will say, that it's blown up. And, even I feel like I kind of, caught disc golf right before the COVID kind of boom. But It's
Mhm.
still a really intimate, cool sport. You can message your favorite players and ask them a question, and a lot of times they'll answer you.
Yeah.
You go out to a big event like that, and like you're saying, you can stand 20 feet from Paul McBeth,
Yeah.
ripping off the tee pad, which is pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah. Or hear the Eagle McMahon snap.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
Eagle came rolling by on 18 when I was out there. That was where my booth was set up, like right on 18 of Fox Run. And we heard that from like 80 feet away. It was
so
tight.
cool.
Yeah,
All right. I have one last question, which you might not
sure.
have time for with the Zoom, but if you're cool with it, so you've mentioned like having anxiety and depression,
Mm.
uh, maybe even outside the scope of disc golf, how would you uh, kind of recommend people that have similar issues cope with them? Do you think someone like disc golf, or you think more abstractly, like, is there just like a certain kind of like idea that you've had that like helps you battle those kinds of struggles?
Well, one thing that I found that was pretty helpful and that kind of just keeps coming back for me. I'm big on sayings, and there's the four agreements. The four agreements I'm gonna try are to always try your best, to be impeccable with your word, take nothing personally, and make no assumptions. And that kind of thinking process has helped me because it's just a way to really kind of check yourself if you're going down, a negative rabbit hole that is, you know, affecting your happiness, or affecting your thought process in a way that you could help. I think a lot of times, with my depression personally, it's negative self-talk that just kind of spirals out of control. So bringing it back to disc golf, I think there's a lot of sort of like parallels between disc golf and life if
Yeah.
you want to make it that way. The game of golf, there's many books talking about, this golf philosophy to life. So anyway, I just think, there's a lot of these moments where you can fail and maybe harp on that, or you can have bad conditions and you could harp on that. And these are sort of those parallels. But um, back to that kind of just like checking yourself on your thought process and not allowing yourself to roll down this negative kind of thought process and perpetuate, something that is either out of your control or you're just making up. Um, so that's really been a big thing for me, just kind of tapping into really like, how am I feeling? Why am I thinking this way? Am I taking it personally? Am I assuming that this is going to happen? Being impeccable with your word, are you feeding yourself kind of negative poison, or what? So
Yeah.
that whole thing has really been a work in process for me. I think, it's proactive, y- but it's a proactive endeavor. If you've got mental health issues, or you've got depression and anxiety working on you, I would say, don't give up working on it, and reach out and talk to somebody if you need to, because we should treat mental health more like dental health, and check in on those thought processes and stuff. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah, have you ever had, this is probably a really personal question that you don't have to answer at all, but have you ever had a like panic attack on the course, or like any disc golf related instance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've had a panic attack, but I've definitely let negative self-talk kind of leak out a little bit, and definitely other people hear it. It's embarrassing. That's something that I don't want to do at all. And
Yeah.
you look at players at a professional level who have done that, and I sort of feel for them, because like I've been there, and everybody makes mistakes, and you know so back to that thought process thing. Some people maybe don't struggle with it as much as others, and who knows why. But yeah, I mean, I've been there. I think lots of people have been, close, or maybe not on the disc golf course, but lots of people have had, kind of these instances of feeling a little bit helpless. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever catch somebody there, I say offer a little bit of support. If
Yeah,
you
of
catch
course.
yourself getting there, just try and take a breather a little bit. Try and give yourself a little bit of a break. Think about, sort of those four agreements and see if you're doing it to yourself a little bit and if you can save yourself and other people from that negativity.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Great to chat with you again.